Okay, I've been playing Far Cry 4 for about a half hour. I ran 3D Firemark for a little bit too. The highest the GPU temp got up to is 60 Celsius. But it goes down pretty quickly. It was at 55 when I went to grab the camera, and it already went back down to 52. It's been going back and forth between 52 and 53. But the real reason I'm making this video is to show you how quiet this computer is. Now you can hear it once you get down here. That is true. You can hear it. Let me, here, I'll put it right there for you. Okay, so you can hear it once you get down here, but you can't really hear it when you're up here. Like I'm up here and I can't hear it already. So go back down here. I can hear it once I put my head under the desk. There is an EVGA GTX 790 CC in here. SSC, super clock. You can see it says EVGA. Let me get in there. There you go. GeForce GTX. It's 970. I might have said 790. It's 970. Yeah. Anyway, it's in there. I promise. So we have an HDMI cable coming out of it. I'm not using a DisplayPort or anything like that. I'm using HDMI. And this is a Dell XPS 8700. You can get these on Newegg for, I think, $850 or even less. Retail for it, I think, is $9.99. It's got a Core i7, 3.6 gigahertz in it, and you can tell this is not even the world's greatest setup as far as airflow goes. Now, I have been experimenting with a fan, and it doesn't seem to help that much. But anyway, look, it's even quieter now. Oh no, now actually, it's just making a different noise. But this is pretty quiet. Like honestly, if I wasn't under the desk, I wouldn't even pay any attention. So we are down to 50. It's fluctuating between 50 and 51. This is a, like I said, it's the EVGA GeForce GTX 970 SSC. It says it right there. I think it's got an 1190 base clock. I've tried overclocking it. It's not stable. You can overclock it a little bit, and honestly, it performs worse than it does stock going by synthetic benchmarks. So, real quick, here's the rest of the setup. There is an Xbox One, PlayStation 4. I'm using an Xbox One controller. Not that anyone cares, but it's a wireless Logitech mouse. It's one of the gaming mice. It's not the fanciest thing in the world, but ergonomically, it's pretty good. That is the Apple router right there, the Airport Extreme, the old one. It's last gen. It's not AC. It's just in. I think it's in. Anyway, now the real reason I did this is I tried to get the GPU hotter so the fans would go higher, and it just would not get any hotter than I think 60. And even then, I couldn't get it to maintain it. This card stays pretty cool. And you got to understand, again, we are talking about, this is a Dell off-the-shelf. You can get this at like a Sam's Club, okay? This is not an exotic computer. And cameras don't always do it justice because cameras pick up a lot of background hiss anyway. But I'm telling you, it's quiet. Like, when I'm up here, I don't even notice the noise it makes. It's only once you get your head under the desk that you actually hear it. It's pretty nice. And just so you know, if you do have a Dell computer laying around, and it has the appropriate slot to put that graphics card in, it's almost a plug and play affair. I had a 750 Ti that was plug and play. To get the 970 to work, I had to update the BIOS, and it was actually, this is my first gaming computer. I've had it for less than a month, and I updated the BIOS pretty easily, that's saying a lot. I was a console gamer, as evidenced by the fact that I am using the Xbox One controller. Got the PS4, got the Xbox One. I'm actually a console gamer. I've never been a PC gamer, and this is the kind of stuff that would have intimidated me. But yeah, no, I keep showing this just to make it clear. This is a Dell computer off the shelf. The only modification that's been made to it is that power card, and it even has the stock OEM power supply. That's probably why my overclock isn't stable, to be honest with you. I bet it has to do with that power supply. That's an off-the-shelf computer. That's probably not the world's most ideal place to have it for it to be properly ventilated. And then it's got a Haswell. I think it's a 4790. I can look it up and put it in the description. But I've got a Haswell i7 3.6. That's stock. And then it's got the stock cooler on it. So it is air-cooled stock, off-the-shelf computer with nothing in it except an upgraded graphics card. Everything is air-cooled. And look at this. We're down to 47 degrees now. This thing idles. When you start the computer up, it's in the 30s. I think it gets as low as 32 degrees Celsius. It's typically around 38 when I check it. I had to play Far Cry 4, and what I did was I got in the buzzer, I flew around the map for a long time, and I just kept blowing stuff up, and I was hoping that the more I flew around, the more I was going to cause the card to have to load textures and everything, and that was going to try to heat it up. But the hottest I've ever seen this card get since I've had it is 60 degrees. And it doesn't matter what game. I was playing Far Cry 4 on ultra settings in 1080p, averaging, well, I don't know what the real average is, but every time I looked, I was between 70 and 120 frames per second. Usually, it was usually in the 80s. Usually the high 80s somewhere when I would look in the corner because I use fraps. But yeah, it's down to 46 degrees. I think it just got quieter, actually. No, this is like, honestly, if you go into an office building or like somebody's shop or whatever, and they have just like a cheap bargain basement $300 computer that they use to do spreadsheets, it's about as loud as it is. And you got to understand, that sound's getting to bounce around off the walls. There's the whole under the desk issue. So I'm back here, my head's back here. I don't really hear the fan that much, or the computer or anything, whatever's making the noise. But once I put my head under the desk, I do. I'm just trying to make it real clear. Because again, it's one of those things when you're watching a YouTube video, you're not going to really experience it. And I know I could get out a decibel meter and I could do all these other things that give you objective metrics or whatever, but it doesn't quite paint the picture for you. And the thing is, once you have the game sound on, you're not going to hear that at all. So let me try one thing I haven't tried before. Let me turn the fan, 100% fan, apply. Let's see what, oh, there, check that out. Wow, that is like a hairdryer. Check that out. Okay, I've never heard anything like that before. Yeah, the fans have never kicked on. The highest I've ever seen these fans up to is it said they were at 30%. So let's go down to 30. Wow, that is the hairdryer sound. I've heard people say their graphics card sounds like a hairdryer. I never heard it myself till just now. Okay, so now I've got the fan at 30%. Okay, it's at 30%. I have seen it at 30% when I've checked the that control panel. Check this out, at 30%, I still don't hear it. I don't hear the fan, I can tell you that. I don't hear the graphics card fan at all. I hear probably the CPU fan is what I think I'm hearing. Alright, so let's go back up here again. Look at that, we got it down to 33 degrees, I told you. And that, I'm pretty sure it's because the fan was on. Let's bump this up 50%, and then we'll apply. I can hear the fan. I can hear the fan. So 30% fan, you still don't really hear it. And I've seen it when I've looked at this and I've seen that the graphics card says it's at 60 degrees. I have seen the fan say it's on 30%. I still never heard it, as I just demonstrated. Now you can hear this. You can hear this. It's not insane, but you can hear it. Okay? You can hear that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's undetectable. It absolutely is detectable. I can definitely hear that. Even when I'm not under the desk, I can hear it. However, just again for comparison, let's go back up to, let's go to 80%. You can definitely hear this, okay? But seriously, unless you're running 4K Ultra, I don't think you're going to get it to go that loud. See, I can hear that. That's crazy. I would not want to hear that on a regular basis. Let's go back down to 30%. Let's go down to 30%. Hit apply. And you hear how gradually the volume of that fan gradually goes down. Look, that's 30%, man. That is perfectly acceptable. Here, let me stand up. Let me stand up. When your head is up here, you're not going to hear that, man. I do not hear that graphics card whatsoever. I hear something coming from the computer. There is a mechanical disk drive in there, so it could be a combination of the disk drive and the CPU fan that I'm hearing. Now, one of the reasons, look at this, we're down to 30 degrees Celsius. Now, one of the reasons I keep pointing all this out, this is a stock Dell off-the-shelf configuration computer, Dell motherboard, Dell everything, everything's OEM minus the graphics card. Now, I got this as like my starter computer, and I was looking into building one, but I'm telling you, here, the fan was off earlier, so let's turn the fan back off like it was. Okay, we're at 30 degrees. Well, it jumped up to 31. Now it jumped up to 32. Wow. I guess that fan was kind of doing its job, huh? As it was at 30 till I shut the fan off. The fan's off though, and like I told you guys, it normally idles between 32 and 38. And here we are at 31. So this is completely stock settings. It's the EVGA GTX 970 super clock. It is in a completely OEM stock Dell computer down here. OEM power, so everything's OEM. Power supply, case, everything. And here's where I'm at. I ran 3D Firemark earlier, and it says that I am in the upper, let me see if I can find my phone. Took a picture. It says I am in the upper 93% of all people that have run the test with this computer. This is a 3.6 i7. This is the OEM i7. You can't overclock this thing. You know what I mean? This is not fancy. Look, it says it right here. Okay. Intel Core i7 4790 processor, off the shelf OEM. You cannot overclock this. It says generic VGA, but that's wrong. I scored, this is the normal 3D Mark because I'm on a 1080p monitor. 98.79 is my score. Better than 93% of all results. Okay. Oops. Even when I ran the test on extreme, I scored better than 73% of all results. 5208 on extreme. So, here's what I'm trying to convey to you. And I'm beating a dead horse or whatever. But I'm pretty impressed. I feel like, I don't want to say I feel like I struck the lottery, but this is my first computer. And these are reasonably priced towers. Okay? It's quiet. It runs games in ultra at more than 60 frames per second. I'm thinking about getting a G-Sync monitor, to be honest with you. And just being done with it, not even building a computer. So it's pretty quiet. Again, I hear some kind of noise, but I really think it's the mechanical hard drive and the CPU fan. It's definitely not the graphics card fan. So this thing is quiet. The graphics card runs cool. I don't know what my CPU runs at. I've not installed software that I'm comfortable with yet. There's a lot of the free software to check the temperature of your CPU. It wants crazy stuff, man. It wants to install like the Yahoo toolbar, and like I don't want all that. Like I'm going to do a clean install, by the way, of Windows on this to get rid of some of the Dell bloatware. So I don't want to install all that. So I don't know what my CPU is running at, but I do know my GPU, look, we're back up to 36, 35, 36. And like I was telling you before, this thing idles at 32 to 38. Under load, it gets up to 60 degrees. And that's playing Far Cry 4 on ultra preset. And I play, like pretty aggressively. I'm blowing stuff up. I'm jumping out of vehicles. I'm skydiving. So I'm pretty impressed. Now, this is my first gaming computer. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I've been reading. Because, again, I've been looking into building a computer, and I've been reading what other people say. And I feel like I'm getting pretty good results. I got my stock tower. It's not really ventilated very well. It's running on air. I'm getting good synthetic benchmarks. I feel like I'm getting good real-world performance in my games, and I've posted footage that I'm getting with this 970 on my YouTube channel. So I feel like I'm getting good performance. Now, the only thing I'll say is I could build a computer for less money than this cost. For the cost of that computer and that graphics card together, I could build a computer probably for $200 or $300 less with pretty much apples to apples parts. But I got to assemble it. I got to, again, this was my first computer, so it'd be my first build. There's a lot to think about. But so here's another thing I like about this. I think this sounds fantastic, and I don't know what the culprit is. It says it's using Elgato high definition sound. I think the sound quality on this rig is fantastic. It has like 6 USB 3.0 parts. I especially dig this this tray on top, and like you can plug the headphones in there, and there's like 2 USB 2.0s. I think it's got like 6 USB 2.0 and 6 USB 3.0. But I'm telling you, I'm pretty happy with this. And one of the reasons why I keep going over this and over this and over this is if you're like me and you're curious, like what's it take to join this PC master species? I don't like to say master race because let's be honest, that sounds kind of messed up and we're politically correct in America now. So I'll say master species. But anyway, if you're trying to figure out how to join the master species and you're intimidated by it or you want to know what to expect or whatever, like I've gone through it for the last month and I would love to share my experience because I'm pretty ecstatic about it. So I'm about to shut this off. Here we go. It's crept with the fans completely off, 0 RPM. It's crept back up to 37 degrees Celsius. And it's like I told you guys before, 32 to 38. There we are at 38. That is typical. Let's put the fan back up to 30%. 28, whatever. And let us see how quickly the temp goes down. Wow, it jumped up to 39. I heard the fan kick on for just a second. That's very interesting. Like it literally kicked on for 2 seconds and then kicked off, and it was loud. So we just went from 39 to 36. Don't worry, 35. I'm about to shut this camera off and be done with this video. This is, for some of you, this is probably like a big waste of time, and I get that. But I'm trying to be thorough. I'm trying to really, really share what I've been experiencing. All right, 34. I mean, you see how quickly this GPU goes down in temperature? And again, we're in a stock Dell case. This thing is not water cooled. It's only got the stock Dell cooling fans. So it's not like it has fans on the top and fans on the side. We're talking like one fan in the front for intake, if there even is one there. I haven't even paid attention. And then there's one for sure in the back for exhaust. This is a stock Dell case. This is the EVGA. And this is the super clock. And I should make this point real quick. There's been a little bit of controversy with the GTX 970 and with EVGA's implementation of it. Because apparently, I've only been doing this for a month. But apparently when the 970 super clock came out, that supposedly was not cooling the card as well as people felt it should. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't buy the thing. I never used it. So they came out with the super clock and that supposedly addressed it. And I'm telling you, like, this is the only experience that I personally have, but I've been reading a lot. And 31 degrees, that's pretty good. And 60 for the max temp, that's pretty good too. And you see it cools off really fast. So, and you can't hear it at all. At 30%, 28% or whatever I have the fan at, it is reasonably quiet. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to bump it up to 80% real quick, and then I'll stop the video. Because when people say that their graphics card sounds like a hairdryer, I'm going to give you guys 100%, even though I don't want to do it because it makes me nervous. But I'll give it to you anyway. Here we go. 100%. This does sound like a hairdryer. I absolutely agree. That's hairdryer right there. That absolutely does sound like a hairdryer, but I've never heard that. We're down to 30 degrees. And we're going to go ahead and bump it down to 39%. 39% fan. Get to hear this thing wind down. It's winding down. Yeah, you can still hear this winding down. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I'm not BSing you. I'm not trying to tell you that this is dead silent. See, 38% is not dead silent. Yeah, you can hear that. So what I'm going to do, last thing I'm going to do, and thanks for hanging with me on this. Let's go back down to 28%. Hit apply. 28%. Almost sounds like the fan is not on. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys. Whether you've been... Oh, and last thing I'm going to say on this. The reason I went with the 970 is... long story short, I am new. I'm not quite ready to build a computer yet. I had a 750 Ti. It was a super clocked. It was EVGA. I liked it. It was plug and play. It was pretty cool. It was much cheaper than this, obviously. It was almost half the cost. But it felt compromised. It was good, but I still had to run a lot of settings on low to maintain 60 frames per second. So I said, can the 970 with that Maxwell architecture that, uses less power, can I put that in here? And I Googled it, I looked it up, sure enough I could, so I did. I'm using the stock power supply, the stock motherboard, the stock everything. I got this graphics card in here, and I'm telling you, I feel pretty good. I have good real life, play experience results. Now, I have good synthetic testing results, but I will say this. I don't care what anybody says. To me, this is a 1080p card. I know it can do 4K, and maybe if I saw this in 4K on a G-Sync monitor, I would change my mind. If they even sell a 4K G-Sync monitor right now, I don't know if they do. But to be honest with you, like, I still have some settings on like medium, I still have settings turned off just to maintain a reliable, always above 60 frames per second. So that's why I would say this is still like a 1080p card to me. I think 4K gaming, we're not there yet. Anyway, I hope this really helped. This is the first video that I've made where I'm offering commentary. I'm new to all this, but I have a passion for it. I don't know if that comes across or not, but I do. I have a passion for it. Like, this is a fascinating world for me. You know, I come from PlayStation 4. I come from Xbox One. And this is all new to me. So, anyway, thank you very much for watching. And I sincerely hope this has helped y'all out. And we are at 29. It's 30 degrees to 29 degrees right now. So, thank you very much. This has been AI Gaming. Peace out. AI Gaming 1776.